19 is called The Beast. Hiccup plunged down from the broken cage and was caught mid-air by the unfeasibly large hand of the dragon monster, snatching him out of the ether as Hiccup had seen smaller dragons do with blue bottles. I'm afraid that there's an excellent but rather revolting reason for this. Dragons like to eat their prey alive, a bit like you might prefer a nice juicy plump raspberry to one that has been squashed on the ground. Oh dear, that's down Hiccup plunging. And he's being caught mid-air there. Oh dear. Halt! Oh, the beast threw Hiccup up into the air again and threw back his head to catch him in his jaws. The mouth opened like a big, dark cave, edged with razor-sharp teeth like stalactites. And Hiccup just had time, as he somersaulted through the air, to shout, "Halt!" in Dragonese. So thank goodness he shouted that in time before he fell into the creature's mouth. That's him falling into the mouth, and then he says, "Halt." And the jaws snapped shut. Absolute darkness and a heat that burned, and Hiccup was just thinking, as well he might, this really is the end now, when the monster reached inside his own mouth and fished Hiccup out by the end of one talon just before he swallowed. "Halt!" said Hiccup again, coughing wildly as he hung from the creature's talon, dripping with the disgusting green goo of the dragon's saliva. The monster drew Hiccup up to his big yellow eye and took a good look at him. And in between coughs, Hiccup took a good look at the creature too. He could not believe what he saw. It was a sea dragon, and not just any old sea dragon either. It was an exceptionally rare Sea Dragonus giganticus maximus. Hiccup recognised it because he had met one of them before, a year or so ago, on his very first adventure as a warrior in training. What was a sea dragon doing down here? The beast was chained to the ground. He drew great, grasping, asthmatic breaths that were painful to hear, and his skin was worn as dry as cracked old parchment. More choking still were the great drifts of smoke that came billowing rapidly out of his nostrils, a pea soup smoke of stifling, unimaginable, desperate despair. The forest had grown up around him. A wood of ash had grown up through his spines. His neck was bound not only with metal, but also with rings, and rings of choking thorns that were so thick about his face that he could barely move. He had never seen the like of the chains that bound that beast. Oh, poor beast. It was unimaginable to think of how huge the force must have been in which those chains were built, for each link was the width of a room in an ordinary house. It would have required maybe 50 men to carry just one. It must have been an almost superhuman task of ingenuity to put those links together and drive the stake deep enough into the ground so that the great beast could not work his way free. The sea dragon's great yellow eye met Hiccup's, and so profound was the maddened melancholy of the eye that Hiccup's first thought was of pity rather than fear, even though the beast was opening its mouth again, apparently deciding he was a curiosity but quite safe to eat. Poor beast, thought Hiccup, poor beast. That moment of pity was what saved Hiccup, for if he had been scared he would have been too frightened to think. But the pity he was feeling reminded him of the sad story of Hiccup Horrendous had at the third, and at the same time the image of Alvin's mother popped into his head as he felt the scar on Toothless's chest. How strange it is that they have a scar in exactly the same place. Looking down over the creature's fingertips, Hiccup could get a good view of the beast's chest, and on that chest, right above the heart, was a fine streak of a paler green, the mark of an ancient wound, healed so long ago that was only the faintest tracing of it on the surface. Hiccup thought of a dragon sitting quietly on a beach next to the body of its dead master. The fresh wound on its chest, still bleeding from the storm blade, would not kill it, but its heart was broken all the same. "Furious!" Hiccup shouted out. "You are the dragon Furious." I'll have the next bit.